Speaker, Comrade Tom Griffiths from Keep Our NHS Public. After this, we'll open the floor for the workshop. So, Tom.
Thank you. So, just before I get going, I just want to send a quick message with those exact loud voices to Starmer and Streeting. They think the NHS is theirs to do what they like with, but you're going to join me and send a clear message to them. Whose NHS?
Our NHS!
Whose NHS?
Our NHS!
Thank you. All right, Keep Our NHS Public, like almost everyone here, welcome the back of the Tory government. After 14 years of austerity and privatisation, they have done untold damage to the fabric of this society. They leave behind a creaking welfare state, a cost of living crisis, a racist hostile environment, and plunge the NHS into the biggest crisis in its entire history. Not to mention making Britain world leaders when it comes to deaths per capita during the COVID pandemic. The crisis in the NHS alone is now causing 14,000 deaths, avoidable, unnecessary deaths, each and every year. They did this with the Tory cocktail of inefficiency, cruelty, and ideological zeal. The Tories have blood on their hands, and it will be a sad day when they come back to office to pick up where they left off. But the danger that we are facing now is that when they return to office, the country that they find they may like very much, they will find more cuts, more private companies running public services, less workers' rights, more police powers, more money on war, and a picture of health and social care provision that looks, at least to us, very bleak. And all of this under a so-called Labour government. The Labour manifesto promised a break with the status quo. Now, I can't work out whether that was just a lie or what they really meant was that they were going to be even more cruel than the Tories before them. The savage cuts to benefits, cuts that, as we've heard, will put more pressure on the NHS and other services and will cost many, many lives, is shocking enough. But Rachel Reeves, in the budget speech on Wednesday, and I'm still pinching myself about this, boasted that they are increasing military spending to the highest levels since the end of the Cold War, as if that's a good thing. Shame on them.
Disgraceful!
This is not the Labour government that we voted for, the NHS campaigners like myself were hoping for, the patients, disabled people, nor NHS workers were hoping for. Instead of putting together a rescue package adequate to end the crisis, Starmer and Streeting have promised to invest more money in the private healthcare sector. Instead of keeping their promise to have the biggest wave of insourcing in a generation, they have left NHS workers, like those in Suffolk and Essex we stood alongside, to be outsourced to companies like Sodexo. Workers who called on Wes Streeting directly and asked for his help and were ignored. Patients and NHS workers are now facing even more cuts and more job losses as Starmer and Streeting want to take control of the NHS and abolish NHS England. They are going to slash integrated care budgets by half. This means tens of thousands of job losses. We're in a service already facing its biggest crisis. So comrades, it's time for the gloves to come off. Starmer and Streeting are not listening. They're not going to listen to us because we make the right arguments and because we tell them again and again about how many people are going to die. They simply don't care. So we have to build a movement. We have to build a movement that will force them to change or force them out of office. Woo! We do that by holding events like this fantastic event today. We do that by building our local groups in our local communities. We do that by building the massive demonstration on the 7th of June in central London called by the People's Assembly. We say to Starmer and Streeting, stop your cuts, stop funding the private sector, stop funding more. The NHS is here to say, and God damn it, so are we. Starmer and Streeting think they can do what they like with the NHS, so I'll finish where I started. So let's send that message again. Who's NHS?
Our NHS!
Who's NHS?
Our NHS!
Who's NHS?
Our NHS!
Let's fight for it and keep it ours. Thank you very much, comrades.